Tyler sat across from her at the candlelit table, his palms sweating as he tried to remember every dating tip his friends had drilled into him. He was about to ask about her hobbies when she leaned forward, her eyes glistening with tears, and whispered words that made his heart stop. "I'm not actually here for a date. I'm here because 12 years ago, you saved my life, and I've been looking for you ever since." His mind went completely blank. He had no idea what she was talking about. If you love stories about unexpected moments that remind us of the incredible impact we can have on each other's lives, you're in the right place. Subscribe to Sage Stories and hit that like button. We'd also love to hear your thoughts in the comments below. Now, let me tell you what happened that night. Tyler Morrison was 29 years old, worked in IT support, and hadn't been on a date in almost 2 years. His friends were constantly trying to set him up, insisting that he just needed to put himself out there. When his coworker Maria mentioned that her friend's sister was single and looking to meet someone, Tyler reluctantly agreed to a blind date. He figured the worst that could happen was an awkward dinner and a polite goodnight. The restaurant Maria had suggested was nicer than anywhere Tyler usually went. He arrived 15 minutes early, fidgeting with his tie and second-guessing his choice of cologne. When a woman approached his table, he stood up quickly, almost knocking over his water glass. She was around his age, with dark hair pulled back in a simple ponytail and kind eyes that seemed to be searching his face for something. "Tyler," she asked softly. "Yes, hi. You must be." He realized Maria had never actually told him her name. "Sorry, I don't think I caught your name." "Emily," she said, sitting down across from him. "Emily Chen." They made small talk for a few minutes. Tyler asked the usual first-date questions, but Emily's answers were vague, almost distracted. She kept looking at him with this strange intensity that made him self-conscious. He wondered if he had something in his teeth or if his anxiety was that obvious. Then, about 10 minutes into their awkward conversation, Emily set down her menu and took a deep breath. That's when she leaned forward and said those words that would change everything. "I'm not actually here for a date. I'm here because 12 years ago, you saved my life, and I've been looking for you ever since." Tyler's fork clattered onto his plate. "I'm sorry, what?" Emily's eyes filled with tears. "You don't remember me. I was afraid you wouldn't. It was June 14th, 2014. You were 17. I was 13. Tyler's mind raced backward through the years, trying to grasp what she was talking about. 12 years ago he'd been a high school junior, working part-time at the public pool as a lifeguard. He'd saved a few people that summer from minor incidents, but nothing that seemed life-changing. "I was at Riverside Pool," Emily continued, her voice trembling slightly. "I was with my older brother and his friends. They were all showing off, doing flips off the diving board, and I wanted them to think I was cool too. But I wasn't a strong swimmer. I told myself it would be fine, that the pool wasn't that deep." A memory flickered in Tyler's mind. A summer day. The sound of kids laughing. The sharp blast of his whistle. "I jumped off the board trying to do a flip like they did," Emily said. "But I landed wrong. The water went up my nose, into my lungs. I started panicking, thrashing around. I went under. And I just kept sinking. I remember looking up at the surface and thinking this was it. I was going to die. I was 13 years old and I was going to drown in a public pool surrounded by people." Tyler's chest tightened. He did remember. The girl with the purple swimsuit. How still she'd been when he pulled her out. "You dove in fully clothed," Emily said, a tear rolling down her cheek. "You didn't even take off your shoes. You pulled me to the surface and got me to the side of the pool. I was coughing up water, terrified, and you stayed with me. You wrapped a towel around my shoulders and sat with me until my brother came. You told me it was okay to be scared, that everyone gets scared sometimes. You told me I was brave for trying." Tyler remembered now. He remembered the girl's small, shaking frame. How she'd cried not just from fear but from embarrassment. Her brother had been angry with himself for not watching her more carefully. "The paramedics came," Emily continued. "They checked me over, said I was fine. But you stayed the entire time. And when I finally stopped shaking, you looked at me and said, 'You're going to be okay. This doesn't define you.' I never forgot that. I never forgot you." "Why didn't you say anything then?" Tyler asked quietly. "Why didn't you find me?" "I tried," Emily said. I went back to the pool the next day, but it was your day off. When I came back again, they told me you'd quit. You'd started college early or something. I didn't know your last name. All I knew was Tyler, the lifeguard with the kind smile who told me I was brave when I felt like the biggest failure in the world. She pulled a napkin from the table and dabbed at her eyes. That moment changed everything for me. I developed this fear of water after the accident. Wouldn't go near pools, beaches, anything. But I kept thinking about what you said. That this one moment didn't define me. So I started taking swimming lessons. It took me 3 years of therapy and practice, but I eventually became a competitive swimmer in college. I'm a swimming instructor now, Tyler. I teach water safety to kids. I help them overcome their fears. Tyler felt his own eyes getting wet. He'd thought about that day occasionally over the years, wondering if the girl was okay, but he'd never imagined it had such a lasting impact. I've been looking for you, Emily said. I've checked social media, asked around at the pool, but you were just gone. Then 3 weeks ago, I was having coffee with Maria from my book club. She mentioned she was trying to set up her coworker Tyler, and when she showed me your picture, I couldn't believe it. It was you. The Tyler from that day. So you asked her to set us up? Tyler said, starting to understand. Emily nodded. I know it's weird. I'm sorry if this is uncomfortable. I just needed to find you. I needed to say thank you. You gave me my life back twice. Once when you pulled me out of that water, and again when you gave me the courage to face my fear. Tyler didn't know what to say. He'd spent so many years feeling ordinary, wondering if he made any real difference in the world. His job was fixing computers and resetting passwords. He helped his neighbors carry groceries sometimes. He donated to charity when he could afford it. But he'd never felt like someone who changed lives. You don't have to say anything, Emily said quickly. I just needed you to know. What you did mattered. You matter. And I'm not the only one. She pulled out her phone and showed him a photo. It was a group of kids in swimsuits, standing by a pool, all holding certificates. These are my students from this past summer. 23 kids who learned to swim safely because you saved me. Because you inspired me to overcome my fear and help others. That ripple effect started with you. Tyler felt something break open inside his chest. For years, he'd been going through the motions, feeling like his life was small and insignificant. But here was proof that one moment of simply doing the right thing had created waves he never could have imagined. Thank you for finding me, he finally said, his voice rough with emotion. I had no idea. I just did what anyone would do. No, Emily said firmly. Not everyone would have stayed. Not everyone would have said those exact words I needed to hear. You saw me not as a stupid girl who made a mistake, but as someone who deserved kindness and encouragement. That's rare, Tyler. That's special. They talked for another 2 hours that night. Not as a blind date, but as two people connected by a moment of grace. Emily told him about her students, her nonprofit that provided free swimming lessons to underprivileged kids. Tyler told her about his life, his quiet routines, his feeling that he wasn't doing enough. When they finally left the restaurant, Emily hugged him tight. You've been doing enough your whole life, she whispered. You just didn't know it. Tyler drove home that night with tears streaming down his face. Not sad tears, but the kind that come when you realize your life has meant more than you ever understood. He thought about all the small kindnesses he'd dismissed as meaningless. The time he'd helped an elderly man change a tire in the rain. The teenage kid at the grocery store he'd encouraged when she was struggling with anxiety. The messages he'd sent to old friends just checking in. Maybe none of those moments seemed big. Maybe he'd never know if they mattered. But Emily had taught him that we don't get to decide what impact we have on others. We just have to show up with kindness and trust that it ripples outward in ways we can't predict or measure. Sometimes the smallest act of compassion can save a life in ways that take years to fully understand. Sometimes the words we offer in passing become the foundation someone builds their future on. And sometimes a person we've forgotten is out there remembering us, carrying our kindness forward, creating light in places we'll never see. Tyler kept in touch with Emily. They became genuine friends. And yes, he eventually met someone special through her network of kind-hearted people. But more than that, he learned to see himself differently. He learned that being ordinary doesn't mean being insignificant. That showing up with decency and heart is enough. That we're all saving each other in small ways every single day. So the next time you have the chance to offer a kind word, to help someone in need, to stay a little longer with someone who's struggling, do it. You might just be planting seeds that will grow into forests you'll never walk through. You might be the person someone searches for 12 years later just to say thank you. You might be changing the world one quiet moment at a time. What's a moment of kindness that changed your life? Share your story in the comments. Your words might be exactly what someone needs to hear today.